I met Frank, the bartender, in the Tenderloin. Frank is a bartender in this sleazy little bar. You wouldn't believe this place. Frank sees more tragedy in a week than most people see in a lifetime, if you work in one of those places. I'm visiting Frank one day, and Frank and I are talking. Frank says, see that lady sitting over there on the bar stool? And I said, yes. He said, how old do you think she is? I said, she's 45. Frank says, she's 25. I said, wow. He said, that's Cookie. Her name is Cookie. He said, Cookie used to be a go-go dancer back in the go-go days. But then he said Cookie developed some kind of bone disease in her legs and her hips. And he said now she's had all kinds of operations with the bolts and the pins trying to hold her together. And says now she's a cripple and she can hardly walk. So her go-go days are over. And sure enough, Cookie was very crippled. Frank says Cookie also has a little boy, 5 years old, and he's dying of leukemia. So he said Cookie comes several times a week, sits on that bar stool, and plays a little music to try to cheer up her life. And she usually drinks far too much, and gets wasted, and I have to call a taxi to come and take her home. Wow. I thought, Cookie. How come her life worked out like that, and my life worked out like this? How come I get to travel around the world, and Cookie finds it hard to even get home? That kind of exposure, that kind of sensitivity, that kind of study. Now, you can't really know it unless you live there. I understand that. But you can go a great deal into trying to understand a wider range of human experience. And if you will try to let those experiences touch you, let them affect you, let them educate you, let them give you a broader range of emotional wealth and worth, I'm telling you, that extra worth will start showing up in your language, in your words and in your sentences. And you'll be able to touch people that you couldn't touch before. You'll be able to reach people you couldn't reach before you had the experience. Your words will have more of a drawing than they had before just by going through some of these experiences. So I'm asking you to consider the word sensitivity and ask yourself, what could I do and what experiences could I make sure that I engage in that would give me a broader range of understanding of human suffering as well as human joy, of the dilemma as well as the confidence, of the joy as well as the sorrow, of the success as well as the failures of life, and try to gain an understanding in a broader sense, and let that have an effect on your future ability to touch and reach somebody else. Key word, sensitivity. Here's number 4, knowledge. Good communication starts with this laborious task of gathering knowledge. And I've got a parenthesis for you to make. Working knowledge. Knowledge that you deliberately gather that will work for you in the future. This is why Shoaff taught me to keep these journals. He said, gather working knowledge. Knowledge that you go back over. Knowledge that you review. Ideas that you go back through one more time to see if you can't find the extra meaning, the extra depth, the extra worth, the extra value. Working knowledge. Your library, the books you read, the deliberate attempt to broaden your understanding. That's very important in bettering your communication skills. An ever-increasing amount of the refinement of intellect. That's so important, this working knowledge. We covered interest, we covered fascination, we covered sensitivity, and we covered knowledge. Now, I've said all this to support my number 1 point in good communications. Have something good to say. I was asked to give a talk, this has been many years ago now, to a service club. And I was trying to think of a good topic for my noon lecture. And I came up with this, the 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. And I thought it was something good to say. Let me just pass it along to you, in case somebody asks you to make a speech. Now, tell them where you got it, please. The 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. Life is worthwhile, number 1, if you learn. Life is worthwhile if you learn. Your own experience can be a great teacher. The last 3 years, you've probably been doing it right or been doing it wrong. Mr. Shoaff pointed out to me when I was 25, he said, don't ignore the last 6 years. 6 years is a pretty good chunk of time to go over and evaluate and put it on the scales and say, it either weighs or it doesn't weigh. You're either on track or off track. Let's take a look at our own experience. Another big way to learn is from other people's experiences. Might as well gather up someone else's experiences. OPE, we call it, other people's experiences. If somebody went through something for 5 years and they wrote a book and you could read the book in 5 days, wouldn't that be an advantage? Well, yes, if you read the book. Now, this isn't easy stuff, right? This is not casual stuff. This is the extraordinary kind of learning and skills that's necessary, I think, to gain the high life treasures. But I think it's worth it all. Small price to pay for treasure. The extra reading, the extra commitment to the excellence of learning. Life is worthwhile if you learn. Number 2, life is worthwhile if you try. You got to try something with what you know. Can you win the next game that's set up? I don't know. How are we going to know? You got to try. How else are we going to know whether you can be a winner in the next game? I don't know. Just make a commitment to try. When the final book on you is written, let it show your wins and let it show your losses, but don't let it show you didn't play. How would you explain that? So you got to play, you got to try. See what you can do with your life. See what you can do with the next game. The key to life is to give it a try. I put the bar up 3 feet, ask the kids, who can jump 3 feet? I get a whole variety of response. I don't think so. I'm not sure. I don't know. Yes, I can. Say, well, how are we going to know? You got to take a run at it. I don't know any other way. You've just got to take a run at it. Who knows if you can jump 3 feet till you try? Now, if you try and knock the bar down, does that mean you can't jump 3 feet? No. Let me give you the next clue. Try it again. Try it over. Try it another time. Try it another way. Try it with more speed. There's all kinds of ways to try. Number 3. Life is worthwhile if you stay. You got to learn to hang in there. You've got to learn to stay from spring till fall. Many people plant in the spring and leave in the summer. They're gone. First hot day. I thought, sure, John, it'd last a month. Where is he? I don't know. Somebody said, boo, and he quit. Where is he? I don't know. I'd see, to win, you got to learn to stay. Just because you're behind in the first quarter, you can't leave. You got to learn to stay and hang in there. Guy builds a foundation. And then he walks off, wanders away, and builds another foundation. He never stays and puts up the walls and puts on the roof. You got to learn to stay, hang in there. The last one. Life is worthwhile if you care. Caring is an important human value. And I wrote, if you care at all, you'll get some results. If you care enough, you'll get incredible results. Caring. To care for the day and to use its time. To care for the people and to help them with their possibilities. To care for the enterprise, its dignity and its reputation. And to care for yourself. To become all you can become. Stretch as far as you can stretch. Accomplish as much as you can accomplish. Become all that you can become. Caring. Having something good to say. The 4 F's that make life worthwhile.